Okay, so welcome everybody to XLR Season 3, Round 1 of Tier 1 here in Baku. Sorry for starting the stream a little late. We've already had Andy and Stefan set lap times. Quite an advantage in the favour of Andy at the moment. Jack Imac looks to be on a flying lap as well. He had a couple of fantastic races last season and will be looking to redeem himself and try and get the championship off the mighty Leon Boalda, who has won 2 titles in a row here in XLR. Mike VK21 in the Alfa Romeo setting a 42.8 as well. Looks like a Ferrari is about to cross the line. Yes, that was Shakos just starting his flying lap. A Mercedes of Voting Web about to finish his flying lap. Let's see what he can time he can put in on the medium tyres. It's a 42.2 for him. It's pretty much a 42.3 however though. So Sneaky and Andy both on the softer compound tyres, whereas Stefan and Voting on the mediums and Mike on the softs. So Mike definitely has a lot of work to do if he wants to get out here in Q1, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1 for someone travelling just a little slowly across the track. Next driver to cross the line is going to be Jack Imac, who is giving the AlphaTauri behind him quite the slipstream. Is that Ayan? That is not, that's his teammate. Jack Imac pulls to the pits. The AlphaTauri of Luke does take a fantastic lap time to put him up into P5 with a 42.4, getting a mighty slipstream from Jack Imac's Aston Martin, who decided to come into the pit lane after that lap. Peter Flat puts in a 42.6 in the Red Bull. Fantastic effort from him. As next driver on a flyer at the moment, I believe, is Shakos, who is invalidated, unfortunately, somewhere around the circuit, which is most unfortunate for his attempts. I think Fresh will be the next to cross the line. Then DRS active for the Ferrari driver as he screams down that main straight, 218 miles per hour to put his car up into P8. Slowest of the drivers who have set a lap time so far then. Looks like a Haas is going to come through next to begin his lap. That will be Drac, who will start his flying lap. After Sneaky Lagger, I think he's just finishing, he's just beginning another lap. So both the Haas is starting flying laps early on then in the session, as a few drivers have remained in the pit lane. We've seen 9 drivers yet to set a lap time then. 10 drivers yet to set a lap time in this session. As we'll wait to see what they can do when they do begin their flying laps and see if we can get these people up a little bit higher. Sneaky trying to improve his lap time then on the same set of soft tyres. Interestingly enough, as a couple of the AlphaTauris begin his flying lap, Ayan on his return, as Pyro is about to start his flying lap as well, just further down the track. But then let's stay on board with Sneaky as he finishes his lap, as he's in that treacherous middle sector at the moment. A lot of walls very, very close together, and he gets incredibly close to the outside barrier through the castle section. Sneaky Lagger doing absolutely everything to remain on the limit with his Haas, trying to put himself ahead of Andy, as there is a yellow in the 3rd sector. I'm not sure if anyone's crashed. I don't think so. I think it's just someone going slowly. Sneaky though, we're going to see exactly how much he's up by. He's 2 tenths down, unfortunately, on the set of tyres. So the tyres not holding on to the lap as we may have first thought. He's backed off of that lap as well. Peter Flat is just going to begin. He's just going to come on in lap. I assume that's I don't know who put in that lap time. Someone jumped up the order. I think it must have been Shakos. Yes, it was Shakos in the Ferrari. Another flying lap. A 41.7 on the mediums. A fantastic effort. That should probably see him through into Q2, in all honesty. Zach is beast in the Alpine. Purple first sector from him. He's flying along quite nicely at the moment, though. We're going to look back to Ayan, who set a purple middle sector, who is going to be the next driver to cross the line on his XLR return. What can he do in the early parts of Q1? It's 8 minutes still to go on the clock. Then DRS active for the AlphaTauri driver as he powers all the way down to the finish line. along that main straight, which you get some fantastic speed on this year. It's only a 42.0 for the AlphaTauri drivers. I think Pyro is in that middle sector as he gets all squirrely coming out of the castle section there, as Voting Web goes to the top of the timing sheets on his medium, so the track clearly ramping up as that's 3-lap-old mediums, and he goes a tenth faster. Yesterday's P2 finisher in Tier 2 after El Plan, the man still in the pits, managed to best him. So this is not going to be Pyro's best effort as he's again all squirrely going over the curbs then. Zakis Beast puts in a 44.0. I'm sure he's made a mistake on his laps somewhere. And let's see where this lap has put Pyro. He might pull into the pit lane, but he's got to set at least some sort of banker lap as he's going to go on with that black Mercedes. He goes, yeah, that's a 44.2 with a lot of mistakes on that lap for Pyro. He'll be most disappointed. Jack Imac is actually purple coming through that middle sector at the moment on the medium tyres. Everyone's sort of favouring the mediums in Q1, trying to get the best that they can out of the car and get those softs ready for the more important runs in Q2. Jack Imac puts that in P5 with a 41.9. Great effort from him. I'm going to assume that there's a Haas driver. Drac is just pulling into the pits at the moment then, as I believe there's a Williams towards the end, was about to start a flying lap. He's going to get a nice slipstream coming down the pitch straight from the Alfa Romeo in front of him. That Alfa Romeo is Mike VK21, who's invalidated his lap and is going to be going again here. He's going to have no slipstream, so he may lose a little bit of time during the lap, as Andy thinks and knows he's done enough with 6 minutes left on the clock. He is going to remain in that P2 position on that 41.3. I'm just going to try and make it through. I'm sure he will, as we will only be losing the bottom 4 drivers. Sasamang has yet to join us in qualifying, so he will probably be out here in Q1 as well and be starting from the back of the grid. Sasamang us always likes a challenge, and certainly put the fight up last season, but no one could challenge Liam. Unfortunately, he isn't with us this weekend, and I think this might make the championship interesting for him, as he's got to start quite a way back eventually when he returns to racing with us here. So I think Petter Flat is about to finish a flying lap. He's 3/10 up at the moment. That's going to jump him all the way up to P8 ahead of Fuzzle, unless he's gained a little bit more time coming down the straight. No slipstream to help him out. He's low on fuel. He does indeed go up to P8. Aston Martin, Jack Imac then is going to be pulling in for an in-lap. He's going to be pulling into the pits this time around. The two McLarens and El Plan also out on just for their outlaps, as Mike is actually 7/10 up on purple in that middle sector on some fresh soft compound tyres. This is going to put him right now, is going to put him P7 if he can get this right. Jay-Z's retired from the session. Oh, Giannuzzi and Jay-Z have collided in qualifying. I'm not sure what's quite happened there, but it has caused them to come together. I'm sure we might hear about that later on. So where did Mike put himself? He found a bit more time and was able to put himself up into P6. A good effort from Mike VK21 then. As we wait to see, there's a couple of Red Bull drivers there's one Red Bull in the middle sector. I think the other driver is El Plan, just on his outlap at the moment. Giannuzzi's down the escape road at turn 4. He's hit the wall with his rear wing. His car's, I'm not sure what's going on with Giannuzzi here, but he's certainly thoroughly wrecked that front wing. I'm not sure if he's trying to DNF, but it won't affect anyone else's laps, as unlike in real life F1, we don't have to slow down. Yeah, he's trying to DNF, and Giannuzzi, not particularly spectacularly, DNFs in the session. So him and Jay-Z, clearly perhaps they're trying to go from last to first. Voting Web thinks he's done enough, and we're going to stay on board with El Plan through his lap. We'll jump on board actually with him in a moment. I'm just going to wait to see what Fresh can do on his first lap. He says he's on the mediums. This is his first lap on the softs. Let's see what he can do. He's got an Alfa Romeo just ahead of him, which could give him quite the nice slipstream. I'm not sure if Mike will be willing to give his fellow his fellow national compatriot the slipstream. It looks like he's going to for the first part of the straight. Sneaky Lagger thinking he's done enough, along with Ayan in the AlphaTauri and Haas respectively. Then a nice little slipstream is what the Ferrari or Fresh is going to get all the way down. This hugely long back straight. Then there's a tyre in the middle of the track. Fresh puts it P5. That should be enough to send him through into Q2. El Plan then on his flying lap. He's got to try and make the same plan he had yesterday work with another race victory. He's incredibly close to the limits coming through the castle. An ancient monument compared to these modern machines of engineering and perfection. With perfect precision, they are driven through this complex series of twists and turns throughout this street circuit. As then El Plan, let's see what he's got in the middle sector. He certainly uses fuel. He's a 17.8. That's purple in the middle sector for El Plan. Then he's going to power through all the way down this long back straight. There's going to be no slipstream effect, so he may not quite be as fast as he possibly could. There might be a tiny slipstream from the Red Bull in front, but it's going to be very minuscule. As Sus Among Us finally joins us, he's not going to get. No, he's not going to get a flying lap in, and he'll start from the back as El Plan puts it P9. That should secure his spot in qualifying 2 then, as Pyro is at risk. He is on a flyer at the moment, and in that second sector, the dreaded turn 15. He does an amazing job at not bouncing over that curb. He's now got to get the braking right. Beautiful turn in a purple. He's 2.4 seconds up on his lap time at the moment. That's going to put him in the 41s. That should definitely send him through into Q2. He's gonna absolutely pin his foot to the floor for this run to the line. Pyro, he goes into P4. Fantastic job. 2.7 second improvement there. He found the lap out in the end. So a few drivers could be at risk here, and a few still going for flying laps. So just trying to see who is on a flyer at the moment. And the other one of the Red Bulls, Petter Flat's invalidated on his outlap. He is now on soft tyres, eager to secure his place, in Q2. Fuzzle needs to be careful. He's got to prepare. I think he's on an outlap at the moment, but he's not going to make it to the line in time. So Fuzzle could be at risk here. Drac, also, no one else is at risk actually, as none of the bottom 4 are on flying laps. So we will be losing Zakir's Beast, D10, Sus Among Us, Jay-Z and Giannuzzi out of this qualifying session then. So Drac and Fuzzle are safe. Fuzzle knew that and did not complete a lap. Petterflat did not get around in time then. So Voting Web, Andy and Luke make up the top 3 for this qualifying session then, as we wait to see what happens in Q2 and which 10 drivers make it through into the top 10 shootout of Q3, where we'll see who will take pole position for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yeah, I think Jay-Z and Giannuzzi definitely not. Definitely not putting in their best efforts for qualifying. It'll be interesting to see exactly how many times they get lapped in the race. I'm predicting 3 or 4 times for the pair of them, if provided they take each other out in time. If they do what happened in qualifying, we will see plenty of action. And if Tier 2 was anything to go by in today's race, we shall be seeing plenty of action come the checkered flag. If you guys didn't check that race out, it was brilliant. Plenty of overtaking action, and Numi was providing a fantastic job on the comms. And unfortunately, he can't join us today due to, well, my problems. I'm going to quickly turn my mic up. Right, I think that should be a little better. So then, we wait for Q2. We do, yeah, the game has done us well and given us 15 minutes for 15 drivers to try and get themselves into Q3 and in the fight for the pole position. Pole isn't very critical here around Baku. It's fairly easy to overtake, especially with that long DRS zone. But everyone likes to be on pole. It's a nice show of pace, but of course points are scored in the race, not in qualifying. We are not Formula 2 or Formula 3s. I think one of the Mercedes, that is Pyro, coming out onto the track early to be the first driver to set a flying lap here in this qualifying 2 session. Then he's closely followed by Andy, returning to XLR, of course. He's an old face here in the league, and he's been greatly missed in the time he's been absent. That onboard shot is extraordinarily loud. I'm going to see if I can fix that quickly. Right, that should help a little bit. It's very loud still. Just keeping our 50-50 balance. Right, that should be a little better. So then, the Mercedes of Pyro will be the first to set a flying lap, as everybody, apart from Aeon and Shakos, out on the track. Then it's going to be pretty crowded around the circuit, and I'm sure Pyro will be hoping for a slipstream from perhaps Andy, as there's a Haas that's gone down an escape road. Yeah, that's Drac. He went a little deep on his outlap, then he's testing the limits of the circuit then, as Pyro has activated his ERS and now activates his DRS and barrels down that long main straight. There's going to be no slipstream for him. Shakos has come out onto the track. Ayan still yet into the pit lane. Hello to you too, Ayan. Get on track instead of staying in the pit lane and typing on Twitch chat. As let's see what Pyro can do on this lap of the Baku Street circuit. The circuit is a little more challenging this year, as the cars actually feel like Formula 1 cars rather than, you know, de-gripping machines on acceleration, and Pyro certainly is making them look a handful in this first lap of the circuit then, as he bounces all over the curbs, making full, not quite full use of the track. You could get a little closer to that barrier there. There's perhaps a little bit of time in it then, as he winds his way through the tight and twisty middle sector, heading through the ancient castle walls. I'm sure the people who defended the castle in the early days would not be too happy to see a European head right through at tremendous speed, as into the braking zone of turn 15. Plenty of incidents here in real life. F1 Pyro testing those limits against the wall, pretty much rubbing the barrier on entry to turn 16 as well, riding the curb a little bit on the exit then, as he powers his way down that long back straight. No slipstream for him on this first lap, as Ayan does finally get out onto the track then. Let's see what sort of time Pyro can put on the board. It's going to be a 41.7 if we can scroll up in time. Andy, the Alfa Romeo, where's he going to go? Up to P1 with a 41.7, just 600ths quicker. Then there's going to be the Alpha Tauri of Luke, who goes even faster, only a 10th faster, and up into P1. Next is going to be Mike VK21. He's going to put it in P4 on a 42.6 on the soft compound tyres. The Ferrari Refresh goes up to P5. Next will be the Mercedes of Voting Web. He goes even faster on a 41.5. Williams of that was El Plan going up to P4. Red Bull driver next. It's not going to be Petter Flat as another Williams of Stefan goes up. Aston Martin of Jack Imac goes, wow, a 41.1. 4 tenths faster than what Voting Web could manage. Incredible lap time from him. Drax invalidated, and Sneaky goes a 41.4 as well, just ahead of Voting Web then. Petter Flat just drops 2 tenths behind Jack Imac then in the Aston Martin, with him managing a 41.3. A couple drivers pulling into the pit lane. Shakos beats them all by 4 tenths of a second again. A 40.7 for the Ferrari driver. That's an incredible lap time. He is looking fast in this qualifying session then. Drac and Fuzzle have both pulled into the pits, and Ayan is the last driver on track to set a lap time now, as he is in that middle, still in that first sector at the moment. A few drivers pulling out of the way. The Mercedes of Voting Web actually completely stopping and allowing a Red Bull or Petter Flat to head through then. Ayan in that middle sector, a tight, technical, twisty affair of slow speed corners. It's important to get the traction down very well through here, and that's a little bit easier in this game. A lot of the drivers now on traction control fully off compared to last year, where if you had traction control off, the barrier would be the only lap time you could achieve. As Fresh retires from the session then, in the pits, I'm not sure if that's an accidental retirement, but he'll be out of qualifying then. That's interesting from Fresh. We'll have to find out. As Ayan's purple in the middle sector then, the AlphaTauri flying along, getting right up close and personal to those barriers, heading past the Qatar Airways banners as DRS is active. He's going to get a little slipstream actually from some of the drivers in front. Ayan goes P3 at 41.2. For a man who said he had no pace, he's looking quite fast and dangerous, especially since he hasn't done nearly as much on this game as certain individuals. Not looking at the Williams of El Plan in particular, but some drivers have done a lot of practice compared to others. But Fuzzle is looking pretty... well, he's invalidated his lap and is going to be beginning yet another one. Is that Voting Web going for another lap? I'm just going to check that quickly. Yeah, that's Voting going for another lap, and he thinks he can improve even and go even faster in this qualifying session. And if he is able to do so, fair play to him. Here, just ahead of him though, Sneaky Lagger is flying along as well on another flying lap on the medium tyres. Did Sneaky set his time on mediums actually? Indeed he did. So Sneaky is the only driver on the mediums who's going to be getting those tyres out of the way. Then he gets very, very close to the wall. It's incredible just how close to the wall these guys get. Andy's already on another outlap, and he clearly wasn't particularly happy with his lap the first time around. Just trying to see if I can get a reason for why Fresh is retired. I think he might have actually binned it in the wall. I'm not 100% sure. But he's out. That's the important thing, and will be started P15 of this race then. So, Sneaky Lagger, can he improve? He can improve his pit lane entry skills, that's for sure. Putting himself nicely in the pit lane. Voting Web, DRS active then. He's definitely going for an improvement on his lap time. What can he do? P2 of 40.9. Still a little bit of work to do for him then. Fuzzle has invalidated yet again. Fuzzle could be in big trouble here if he's not quite able to sort this invalidation issue out. Ooh, he almost hits the wall on the entry to the pit lane. That would have been an embarrassing end to his race. Perhaps that's what Fresh did. Not too sure. But then Andy will be the next driver to set a lap. Is one of the only ones out on track at the moment. Our plan also out early enough to set a lap without any traffic. You might encounter some slipstream. So there's another Haas out on track. That's Drac, who is going to be going for his first timed lap of the session then, as he was unable to set a lap before. Andy then through that treacherous middle sector, not quite as close to the barrier as we've seen other drivers do, but certainly close enough to make your toes curl up and not really want to do it again. It's a real hand in mouth moment there as they get so close to the barriers and close to crashing out. Andy not quite using all of the track, but purple and all close to 7/10 up. This could put him, it's probably going to put him P3 at the moment. He might not find too much more time in this final sector. There is going to be a slight slipstream from voting Webb in front. Or that might, yeah, he's going to get, well, he's pulled into the pits, of course, so he's not, and he's going to go P3 indeed. A 7/10 improvement for him. We're going to head back to Drac, who's in that penultimate part of the lap as well. He accelerates coming through and into that final real corner. As that's the last corner on the track where you have to brake for, as he takes his Haas through the high-speed sequences of lefts and rights as he gets mighty close to the wall at close to 200 miles per hour, definitely 300 kilometers an hour, as he activates his DRS and is going to go to the line. Drac, where can he put his car? P12 only with a 42.4. Voting Webb thinks he's done enough to remain in the qualifying. When it comes to it, Pyro on an outlap at the moment. El Plan is on a flying lap as we speak, although he's backed off of his lap then, so he's made a pretty consequential mistake. Shackle's also retiring from the session, knowing he's done enough as well. And Andy is going to pull into the pits, I'm guessing, unless he's lining up to do another flying lap. I think that 40.9 should probably be enough to make it through, but best to be safe than sorry. He's actually low on fuel, so he'll definitely not be going again. Our plan will certainly be going again. I think Luke is going to be the next driver to set a flyer unless Drac is pushing. He is not. So yes, Luke will be the next driver in that AlphaTauri car as he gets mighty close to the barriers through the castle section. He is getting right up and close and personal to these walls, making sure he uses all of the track possible to gain the most amount of time possible to try and retain his position in qualifying to enter that top 10 shootout, leaving plenty of margin though coming through the penultimate real corner. As through that final real corner, he looks to be about 7/10 up on his time. This is probably going to put him P2 or 3 and should see him through into the final top 10 shootout in qualifying then. Luke, limited DRS, all the DRS to play with, to the line. What can Luke do? P2 of 40.9 as well, so 3 drivers in the 40.9s. Incredible to see, as Mike VK21 will be the next to begin a flying lap. Following him will be, I believe, Pyro. He's invalidated, so Pyro is going to be recharging his batteries and going to be going again here to try and secure his spot in Q3. There's going to be the Williams of, oh sorry, the Alpine, is that? No, it's the Haas, the Red Bull, sorry. Haas, the Red Bull is a little further behind. No, that is a Williams. That is El Plan. Oh, no, that's right. Purple, a 10th up then through that middle sector. It's going to keep him in position at the moment. He might get a light slipstream from Pyro, who will probably be the last driver to cross the line. Fuzzle, it's going to be quite tight for Fuzzle actually to get a lap in. El Plan, can he get higher than P9? No, he can't. A 41.5. That just makes him a little harder to displace then when it comes to it. Jack Imac, what can he do to improve on his next flying lap attempt? Petter Flat just beginning a lap. Fuzzle is going to get to the line. Oh no, into the wall, Petter Flat. He's into the wall hard, and that's his qualifying effort pretty much over then. He's not going to get round to begin another flying lap. Pyro, has he backed off? I think Pyro's... Oh, there's an Aston Martin round. That's Jack Imac. Chaos breaking out in the final parts of qualifying. Now, I don't know if anyone else is really going to improve at all. As Mike, he's slowed down as well. Oh, no, he hasn't. Sorry, it just looked like that way on the screen. Mike VK21, what can he do? Can he get himself out of qualifying 2 here? Drax out. Fuzzle might be through. Should he get the lap in? Mike VK21 does get through. He pushes Pyro into the drop zone and Pyro's out. Stefan, what can he do? He's 7/10 up. He's definitely going to get out here. Can he displace El Plan? Put his teammate in the drop zone. No, he can't. He's not. El Plan just did enough by 500, by half a tenth. Fuzzle, what can he do on his lap? He's got a bit of traffic to negotiate. He might get a little slipstream here and could still push El Plan into that drop zone. Can Red Bull put Williams out of qualifying as he jumps all over the curb and taps the wall? Not good signs coming out from Fuzzle though. He's going to get a good slipstream. He's going to get a little double effect as he's sliding all the way through turn 16. The Red Bull, it's all on him if he can get out and send 2 Red Bulls through. Petter Flat was able to make it through even with that tap on the wall then. Fuzzle, he's going to activate his DRS now and power all the way to the line. Is he going to get through? No, he's not. P13 is the best that the Red Bull can manage. A crazy end to the session with people spinning left, right and centre. People in the walls, people backing off. It all really kicked off there at El Plan by the skin of his teeth. Half a tenth out qualifies his teammate Stefan, who finishes P11 then. Joining him in the knockout is Pyro, Fuzzle, Drac and Fresh. Voting Web disconnected from the session. Then, wow, that got pretty interesting towards the end. At the moment, my favourite for pole position is going to be Shakos. He put in a fantastic lap to make it through. And just before we begin Q3, I'm just going to go grab a quick bit of water if I have a chance to. So we still have about 30 seconds before we're going to begin the next session. So just going to grab a quick bit of water. So then, swept back thinking voting will pull this one out of the bag. He could still do. Voting's always got an extra couple of tenths in him somewhere. Yeah, well, I think Jack Imac might have blocked Sneaky, but Sneaky was able to get through. Oh, it looked quite messy actually. Unfortunately, we didn't quite catch that then, as we are in that top 10 shootout at the moment. we will be waiting to see who can make it pole position. It could be pretty much anyone really. Everyone looks fast. Everyone's going to be on those soft tyres this time around. Watch out for Shakos and Voting Web perhaps having a little duel. Maybe Luke putting in a cracking lap to send him up into the pole, as Andy's going to be the first to get out on track then. Pit lane exit, and he and his teammate Mike VK21 as I'm not really sure what's going on with Andy here. He's glitched out and he's in the escape road. Yes, looks like Pyro blocked Jack and then Jack blocked Sneaky. It was quite a mess in that final few laps of Q2. But Andy was all over the shop coming out of the pit lane and ended up in the escape road. So he will be behind a few other drivers, but this could give him a little slipstream, as Mike VK21 will be that one to punch the air fully himself. Ayan choosing to remain in the pits for a little longer then. Perhaps he has not got another set of soft compound tyres. No, he is coming out just a little bit after the others to try and get that slipstream. He glitches through part of his garage. That's a new technology I haven't seen before in Formula 1. He was crabbing a bit actually coming out of the pit exit. This is not really... It's quite odd, I won't lie. Anyway, we're going to wait to see what Mike VK21 can do as everyone starts to space themselves out to begin their flying laps. Mike getting all close to the wall. It's pretty much everything or nothing for these laps in Q3. Every single driver is going to be giving it their absolute best to get the pole position. That's what everyone wants. Coming into a race as Mike is all over the curves on the exit from turn 1 as he heads into turn 2, is hard on the brakes then. Ooh, he looks like he tapped the wall actually. I think Mike might have tapped the wall. That could have lost him a little time. His car still fully intact then, as he's going to head down hard on the brakes yet again. Swift flows it in and gets really close to the barriers there. Does Mike, using all of the track that he possibly can, carrying as much speed as is physically possible from the mechanical grip and the aerodynamic grip. All the air elements on his car are giving him the incredible way that the tyres just bite into the tarmac, and just the way the pressure differences suck the car to the ground, keeping it intact and keeping it from just spinning all over the road and keeping it cornering at such intense high speeds. Mike is doing a great job at wringing out the very best of that Alfa Romeo at the moment. Beautiful big kick logos at the back, and he'll certainly be looking to kick everybody else out of that pole position. Time, oh no, he's in the wall. Turn 15, he's hit the wall hard. That's the second time this lap for Mike. Perhaps he's going over those limits just a little bit. 17.6 middle sector. That's not the best we've seen so far, and we'll have to wait and see what that does to Mike's lap time then. Around that final corner he comes then. DRS active for the Alfa Romeo driver. Mike VK21. 41.7 is the time they're all trying to beat. Luke just behind them then. What can he do? Shackles behind him then. Shackles pulls into the pits. Luke goes faster. 41.6. Shackles pulled into the pit lane. Jack Imac. What can he do? He goes faster at 40.9. Brilliant effort for Jack Imac then. Voting Web. What can he do? He's almost a second up on Mike through the middle sector. Voting Web could see himself jump Jack Imac for pole position. He does. A 40.8. Less than a tenth in it between those two. El Plan goes P3 with a 41.2. Brilliant effort from him. Better Flat P2. Wow. 300ths down on Voting Web. That was a bit of a dark horse. Sneaky Lagger, where can he put his car? P5 is what the Haas driver can manage. Next is going to be Ayan on his XLR return. Can he put his car on provisional pole position? Yes, he can! A 40.7 for Ayan. Fantastic lap time. A 10th clear, over a 10th clear of Voting Web. Ayan is one that I didn't see for pole position, but he's got that provisionally now, and we'll have to wait for the second set of laps to see if he can secure that. Brilliant lap from Ayan. That came out of nowhere. Fantastic job. Just got to wait for Andy to set a lap then, and Shakos. Now those two were fast in Q1 and Q2, so we might see Ayan displaced before he's had a chance to lap again. Of course, the track ramping up as we go along. So let's see who, if anyone, can take over Ayan at the top of the timing sheets. So Andy then begins his flying lap here in Q3, his first effort to displace the AlphaTauri of Ayan, who drove for Alfa Romeo last season before taking a little break. Now he is back and better than ever, clearly, putting that on provisional pole from the Voting Web, who were fast yesterday in Tier 2, as he should really. But Andy through that middle sector and getting a little twitch coming out of one of those 90-degree corners. It's purple with 35.7. A 16.6 is sort of that middle sector around Voting Web, so we can judge sort of how much up or down he is when we get there. Oh, I think a little bit of a crunch on the walls. He heads through that castle section now, using all of the racing track. We didn't quite see him that close in Q2. This is exactly what Andy needs, staying within those white lines to make sure the lap stays valid then. Flat out through the long left-hander, making sure to use all of the track, carry all the speed that he possibly can into turn 15, getting really close to the wall is Andy. Not the closest we've seen, but close enough to make you shake. He looks to be about a couple of tenths down on Voting Web through the middle sector then. That's probably going to put him P5 at the moment then. Not Andy's greatest effort here in qualifying. DRS active for the Alfa Romeo driver. Could he have a fantastic final sector? He's going to go to P7 only for Andy. Not the greatest of laps. He'll be looking to massively improve come the checkered flag in 4 minutes time, as our plan comes out nice and early in qualifying for his final laps of the session. Voting Web follows him about a straight behind, and they do expect others to follow him out as well. So then we've got a yellow in sector 2. That's just our plan, going slowly and allowing Andy through. Our plan will be the next to set a flying lap, and will be the first to set probably his final lap as well, as he probably won't get enough time to recharge the batteries as he heads around. So yeah, Mike certainly enjoying the walls, and I'm sure he'll be improving as well. Luke has not had a great first lap either. He was much faster in Q2, so I'd expect him to get a massive improvement come the checkered flag then. So it's all still to play for at the top of the timing sheets. A few of the contenders for the pole not getting laps in on the board early on. So El Plan will be the first to set the last lap. Who can he displace? He needs about 3 tenths to advance ahead of Jack Imac, 4 tenths to be comfortable, and if he gets 4 tenths he might get quite close to Petter Flat, perhaps a little too close for Petter Flat's liking. Yeah, in fact he will probably get ahead of Petter Flat and Voting Web should he find 4 tenths of a second here. He's going to get a nice slipstream from the AlphaTauri ahead of him as he in hard brakes. Coming through, oh! El Plan getting all squirrely and out of shape. He'll be looking to probably back off of his lap this time and go again next time around. He's still got the luxury of having the time to do so, but he will need to go again, really. So Voting becomes the next driver to set a flying lap. He's purple, he's a 10th up at the moment. That's going to put him up into P2. He needs to find about 0.2 of a second, although Voting's backed off as well. Voting, we're backing off of his lap as well then, so that puts Luke, the next driver, as he's almost half a second up. He's finding time. This is going to put him up into P4, or just P5 only at the moment, but he might be able to find a little more time, as everyone seems to be backing off their first lap attempts. It's going to be right to the wire to see who can take the pole position. Jacos just beginning his flying lap in the Ferrari at the moment then. Luke, let's see what his middle sector time is when it comes down. Oh no, he's in the wall! Luke, too aggressive on the power. That's his qualifying done. He's not going to get another lap in. Front wing absolutely demolishing. Disappointment for Luke in the AlphaTauri. He's got lots of work to do if he wants to get much higher up in the race. Jack Imac looked to be about a 10th up on Voting Webb's middle sector time last time around. DRS active for Jack Imac then. Where can he put this Aston Martin car? Jack Imac to the line. Begins in the flying lap. Sorry, that's my mistake. Thought he was on a fly lap. He was not. Voting Webb just beginning a flying lap. El Plan going to begin another flying lap. It looks like the AlphaTauri of Luke just finishing a flying lap. I think Sneaky is actually going to be the first driver to finish the second set of flying laps. A lot of back-offs, a couple of crashes. Now, Sneaky Lagger, we didn't quite exactly see how much he was up by, but where can he put his car as Andy is unfortunate. Sneaky Lagger goes to pole! 4/10 improvement! Andy doesn't get another lap in. He stays down in P7. Petterflat goes faster! 300ths faster up into P1. Where can the Alfa Romeo? That's just Andy coming to the line. Shakos, can he respond? What lap time can he do? A 40.3. That's loads faster than we've seen. It's about 4/10 up, or about 3/10 up on what Shakos was able to do in Q2. Shakos, can he displace Petterflat on provisional pole position? No, he can't. P3 is all he can manage. That looks like Mike has put it up into P7. It comes down to these last few laps. Ayan is down on his lap at the moment. He's down. Could he find a little more time in that final sector? He hasn't got a slipstream. Ayan might not have anything to respond with. He might end up in qualifying P4 here. Ayan in the AlphaTauri. He's going to finish his lap. What can he do? Remains P4 then. It's down to Voting Webb. He's 2/10 up at the moment. 2/10 is going to only put him ahead of Ayan, unless he can find a little more time. Jack Imac goes to the pole. 3/10 up. Jack Imac, didn't see him on the timing screens for a while. He puts it on provisional pole position. Voting Webb, can he respond? P4 is all he can manage. El Plan, he's 3/10 down. El Plan will remain in P8 then. So, Jack Imac on pole position. Jack pulls that one out of the bag. A fantastic lap, 3/10. Didn't even catch that one on the stream. It was a shame, as it was a mighty fast lap. Jack Imac on pole then, followed by Petterflat and Sneaky Lagger. Oh, Voting Webb saying he hit the wall. Not the top three I expected coming out of Q2 then. Wow, brilliant lap from Jack. Brilliant laps from Petterflat and Sneaky Lagger to ascend ahead of Voting Webb. Jack Imac, brilliant stuff from him. And we will be starting in around 5 minutes time then. So until then, I will be taking a short break, providing that no one starts too soon. Then, wow, a brilliant end to qualifying there. Jack Imac out of nowhere takes pole. A great first round for Jack then. We're going to have to wait 5 minutes for everyone to get ready to start yet again. will be taking a short break and be back in 5 minutes, or 4 minutes now, for the start of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Right then, so welcome back, ready for the formation lap then. Text what was saying our plan is going to take the victory. Well, if yesterday is anything to go by, we should really believe it. But I think today the competition is just perhaps a little bit too strong. could still do it with a fantastic strategy. He certainly has the pace. But everybody on the medium tyres, apart from Pyro, who has put on the soft compound tyres. Fuzzle has decided the mediums are the way to go for him. Drac on the hards, which is an interesting choice. He's going to try to go long in this race then. Fresh, Zach and D10 all on the mediums. Sus among us in the Alpine going onto the hard compound tyres for the start of these 26 laps. And the two clowns at the rear of the field then, Jay-Z and Giannuzzi on the medium and the softs, respectively. Well, it should be just respectively, but it'll be interesting to see what these two can do from the back of the grid. If they can get some points here, it'll be pleasantly incredible if they could. Not incredible, it'd be amazing if they could. And I'm sure today's race is going to provide us with some fantastic action. All 20 drivers out on the track at the moment then, with Jack Imac leading the way after a fantastic pole position lap in the end of Q3. So if you guys are just joining us, be ready for this start. Drac and Fresh have had a little coming together, and will both have some fairly cold tyres coming towards the end, well, coming to the start of the race then. Jack Imac on pole, what is he able to do? Giannuzzi and Jay-Z from the back of the grid. And 10 is ghosting, so it's still his AI. He hasn't quite been able to get his internet back up and running there, which means he will finish last today. Right, let's make sure everybody finds their grid slot just fine at the top of the field. Sneaky Lagger has missed his grid slot, unfortunately. That'll set him back a little ways up there in P3. I'd like to get a better camera angle at the back, but I can't get one. Giannuzzi's missed his grid slot then. Yeah, Sneaky had a good old lap to finish off of the P4. So then, from this less than ideal grid slot, we've got 5 red lights. Jack Imac has jump started his lights out, and away we go then for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Jack Imac's jump started, and the AlphaTauri of Aeon holds back in the middle of the pack. There's collisions. They collect the Alfa Romeo of Mike VK21, who is sent spinning. There's a Haas round in the back as well. No, that's Shakos. Shakos, who qualified so well, is round and smashes his rear wing at the end of the straight. Then Aeon is fighting away with Andy towards the front of the field. Everyone has stayed as there's chaos towards the mid-pack. Aeon is going to remain ahead. That's a Ferrari of Fresh diving down the inside. There's a collision. That's suicidal from Fresh. He's just taken out a Red Bull and the Williams of El Plan as well. Wow, chaos then, as no safety car at the moment. There's people all in the runoff area. Mike in the runoff area as well. Looking further up the grid, everyone's pretty much stabilised themselves for now then. Everyone following as D10 has just found his way as Fresh. I'm sure that incident will be looked at with yeah, that'll be looked at big time after the session. There's Fresh is round again. Fresh is what's happened to Fresh? Oh no, he's in the wall. And Zakis Beast has come together with so we've got a safety car then. So Zakis Beast has come together with Sus Among Us. Those penalties could be removed. It's utter chaos up and down the field. Fresh has not had the best start in the Ferrari. Looked to be like he's almost come together with Mike. As he's got I'm not sure what they're doing. Fresh is just overtaken under the safety car. He's going to let him back through, surely. Fresh has gone rogue. Yeah, utter chaos and a safety car there. Well, it's a virtual safety car, so it could end at any point. If you guys are just joining us, absolute chaos. I would say Jack for the win, but he's got a drive-through penalty. So that is going to send him to the back. He's going to try and with this virtual safety car, it's not going to help him at all. Shakos pulls into the pit lane and perhaps to repair some damage. He's going to change. Yeah, he's going to change his front wing and change onto the hard tyres and try and go to the end. We've got a green flag then. As what's happened here? D10 trying to rejoin. Fresh has picked up a 5-second penalty. Wouldn't be surprised if he retires in this pit lane phase. Fuzzle pulls into the pits as well then. Looking to see who is close. It's 2 seconds. Jack Imac's got on Petterflat, gaining a little bit through that safety car period. Yeah, Baku has not been the greatest track. It's certainly never my strongest track, but this year perhaps is not the greatest for me. Luke is pressuring Zaki's Beast at the moment then for the final points position. Luke desperate to make places up. I think he got in a bit of a sandwich, or he was sort of the bread as part of the sandwich with that spun round Shakos. Or it might have been Mike that got spun around by that chaos, but there was total chaos at the start. But now it's sort of evolved into this ever-growing battle between drivers. Everyone's fairly close together still. El Plan very close in the back of Giannuzzi and JT, who have made up some brilliant places actually. Up quite a few, but now Jay-Z's under a lot of pressure from El Plan behind then. El Plan in the Williams is basically pushing Jay-Z through this last part of the track as Jack Imac serves his penalty, and El Plan moves to the outside then to get ahead of Jay-Z. We'll have to wait and see where Jack Imac filters out. It's probably going to be towards the back of the grid then. El Plan was not able to get anyone else. Jack Imac filters out in P12 then, and will be eager to get going and make positions up in this race then. Luke trailing Giannuzzi now. Going to try and get a move on the McLaren driver. He's not quite close enough to do so and has to remain there in P11. Got a lot of work to do. Particularly has this man here, Jack Imac, got plenty of overtaking to get sorted out there, should it come to the checkered flag. But there's still plenty of time for him to do so. We'll just have to wait and see whether he can get that done. Luke's still mighty close, but do watch out for Voting Web making a move on Petterflat as Mike's into the pits yet again. So Petterflat leads by 0.6 of a second from Voting Web, who's now up in P2, making 2 places up off the start then. Let's look how close Andy is to AR, and that could be an overtake that happens, but there is the possibility there is going to be a little bit of a DRS train here. Just depends how much speed Voting Web has got under that DRS. Look at the speed he's gaining. He's got about 20% extra ERS as well. Look how fast they come through that section of the racetrack for then. So let's see. DRS will be active this lap then. Can Voting Web make a change for the lead happen in his favour? He pulls to the inside. Fastest lap is his. A nice, easy, comfortable overtake for the Mercedes driver then. As oh no, Petterflat is fighting back against Voting Web. Fresh has retired from the session. He's crashed in the castle section. Yeah, that's a full safety car. Fresh crashing out in the castle section. Sorry, castle section as debris has just been cleared up by our imaginary marshals here, and Voting Web takes the lead of the race for our first safety car. Fresh, not the greatest of races. Yeah, it was not the greatest of races for Fresh here, so I'm sure he'll be thoroughly disappointed with that, with perhaps some harsh penalties coming his way for the incidents involving him earlier in the race. 4 laps in, a safety car, and complete carnage so far. Fresh, ironically in a Ferrari, has crashed at the castle section, which brings back memories, certainly for Voting Web, as an avid Ferrari fan, which has the side effect of constant depression after, although they did do quite well in Canada with their strategy. So looking at the running order at the moment then, both of those moved up 3 places, whereas Petterflat and Sneaky have remained where they started. AR's actually up 2, he's had a good start. Andy is making the best of an unfortunate qualifying session and is up 4 places. Stefan and Pyro both up 5, both up into the points from outside of it. Sus Among Us is up 10 positions from 18th on the grid, already up to P8. He could be a dark horse for a winner here on those hard tyres. Luckily, the safety cars come at a point where it's too early for anyone to really box, which is quite fortunate for him. Giannuzzi up 11 places as well into the points. From the back of the grid, he's having a cracking old drive. As well, Zach is Beast up 6. Lucas unfortunately managed to go down a position. As Giannuzzi though does pull into the pits along with Pyro, they are to get the soft tyres off, so it makes sense for them. Jack Armack also into the pits as well. He will be probably going to some hard tyres to the end. Yes, he does. So Jack Armack's down 12 after he accidentally jumped the start. He wasn't by that much either. So he had to serve that drive-through penalty then. D10 is up 3 places. He is actually back in the lobby after having some quite bad connection issues at the start. Jay-Z's moved up 4 places as well. Drac is unfortunately down 2. Shakos had spun round. Pitted, changed his front wing and has pitted again. And is unfortunately moved down 12 places. Fuzzle down 5 places as well, and Mike has moved down 12 after he had some contact in the race. A couple of penalties in the way of Susan Magnus and Zach's Beast, but those possibly could be removed at the end of the race because there was contact on the safety car, which was most unfortunate for them. So I believe we have Mercedes safety car. Mercedes leading another Mercedes then. 3 Mercedes on track at the moment, with one leading, 1 second. Voting where that 2023 Mercedes car does look incredibly beautiful. It's a shame they haven't updated the model yet after the significant upgrades Mercedes bought to introduce side pods, which made their package a little bit more drivable. So we'll wait to see how much more time they can squeeze out of that and see if this scenario of Mercedes leading Red Bull does become a real life occurrence come the British Grand Prix, their next big upgrade package supposedly, and we know Lewis is pretty fast there, so we'll have to wait and see. So safety car will probably be, it's going to be a couple of laps before the safety car is really in. We've got a few guys who have pitted towards the back of the field. So it's going to be probably a lap, possibly this lap, the safety car in. It just depends how fast Shakos and the rest of the guys can catch up to the pack. They're pretty much going to be driving pretty much at race speed. We're just going to wait for them to catch up to the pack before we can get green racing again. If you guys are just joining us, chaos has ensued here in Tier 1 Round 1 at Baku. Something that was missing from this year's real life Grand Prix, but will certainly not be missing from Grand Prix past. It's going to be tight to see if the safety car does come in this lap. It'll be interesting to see if it does make it in, or we have another lap under safety car. This will benefit the medium runners a little more than the hard runners. Well, no, actually, I'd say it benefits the hard runners a little more, as they can extend their hard stint a little longer, which means their mediums will stay fresher and will have a more benefit compared to the hard tyre runners, who will be at their worst stage later on if they have to put on the hards earlier, or the hards will be more warm. So the effect is literally negated anyway. So yeah, this safety car period will be quite good for Sus Among Us then. Jack Arnott making sure he uses the most of it by putting on those hard tyres, probably to the end of the race, to be honest, if it's possible. We're effectively 12 laps in if you think of like a real lap race, so we've got to go 40 something laps on those tyres So it's going to be a challenge, but if anyone can do it, it can be Jack Imack. Safety car is in this lap as, yes, indeed everyone has caught onto the train. So we'll have to wait and see for Voting Web to get going. Voting Web will lead them away as everyone's ducking and weaving, trying to get as much tyre temperature into their tyres. This sort of weaving is going to get good exterior, good surface temps, but you're not going to quite get the carcass temperature. You'd have to do a lot of weaving to put enough energy through the tyres. That's best done through the brakes. As Voting Web though has gone, and looks like there's a few drivers very, very close to each other towards the back. Looks like at McLaren of JZ D10 disconnecting all again though as they're running through into turn one. Oh no! It's someone in the wall. Sneaky looks like he just caught the wall and gets promoted up into the podium positions as they're all fighting their ways through turns 2 and 3. There's there's a Haas pinned. That's Drac. I think he might have just. He got pinned towards the outside and got overtaken by multiple drivers then. That's D10 lagging all over the place as Sneaky Lagger is fighting away with Sus among us. Sus on the inside has just been able to get through ahead of Sneaky. Then Zaki's Beast is just behind. L Plan's up a couple of places. There's D10 is really, his AI is really not doing us any favours here. Jack Imack's up a couple of places as well and up into P10 now, back into the points as L Plan gets all sideways. Coming out of the corner is that's Luke pulling to the inside to try and get a move done on D10. He's going to get that move done on his Ghost and just driving straight through as L Plan gets a massive spurt of power from that 1,000 horsepower engine. As it looks like Susamungus has got ahead of Stefan. Stefan on the outside though, that's not a place where you usually see overtakes happen. But Susamungus has made it work. We got a yellow flag in sector 3. That's Luke. Luke spun round. He's in the wall. Was that a reset to track? I think Luke might have just done a quick reset to track there, which is not allowed. That might be looked at the stewards after the race. Susamungus just being passed by Stefan down the inside into turn 16. That could give Stefan a pretty poor exit and allow Susamungus to fight back ahead. Voting Web's got 2.7 second lead ahead of the rest of the field. Oh, a huge tap to the wall for Sneaky. That's a huge hit to the wall. Jack Imack will now be trying to get ahead of him. He's going to have lost a lot of momentum. Andy finally getting back ahead. Oh no, Petter Flat's hit the wall. No front wing for Petter Flat. All chaos taking off here as Sneaky pulls into the pits. El Plan looks like he's just made a move, although Pyro's got a fantastic exit and is going to be trying to fight back that round. D10, I think he's just reconnected. Him and El Plan going wheel to wheel. They're still disconnecting and glitching all over the place. Susamungus has lost a place to D10. Luke has retired. I think, is that on track? That could be another. I think that might be in the pit lane. It's quite difficult to tell. I think that is the pit lane. But as now Zaki's Beast and D10 fight away, then D10 finally back to reconnecting as all looks like Jack all over the road trying to find some space. I know D10's still disconnected. He's lagging all over the place. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. That is just yeah, Luke definitely did retire in the pit lane then. An unfortunate end to his race, not having the greatest of starts. Andy still, I think Aeon got back ahead of Andy at some point, but Andy harrying away at that AlphaTauri, desperate to try and get a move done. He's basically pushing Aeon through the corner then, as they're all so close together. Andy desperate to get past. He's got much more ERS, much more speed than Aeon at this stage in the race. What can Andy get ahead? He won't get DRS this time around, but he might get a good slipstream. D10's AI is making the positions change rather a lot. Susamungus has sort of retained his position in P8 as Jack Imack has moved up to P4. He's had a fantastic safety car restart and is reeling in the top 2. We've got a yellow flag, that's D10 out. Oh, a huge crash, huge incident. D10's AI has put him into the wall. I still think it's his AI, and that's going to be another safety car. Yes, it is. So now Voting Web pulls into the pit lane to put on the hard compound tyres to try and go to the end of the race. Giannuzzi is actually now in the podium positions. Pyro also staying out after he put the hards on, and so to Giannuzzi. It's come at a good. This safety car's come at an interesting point in the race, as a few drivers on hard going towards the end. Then Fuzzle also going to the end up in P5 at the moment, so a lot of drivers out of position, and Jack Imac does regain that lead. Wow, total chaos and carnage through his D10. Had a huge crash in the finals sector, sending carbon fibre shards everywhere. And that's allowed Jack Imac, who served a drive-through penalty and pitted, to regain P1. Jack's back in the lead, now it's going to be management for him. He's on slightly older tyres than everybody else on the field. You've got to watch out for Voting Web in P8, who's just turned onto fresh tyres. If you look at the tyres of everyone, they're 4 laps fresher for Voting Web, but it's 4 lap old hards for Jack Imac. Pyro, Giannuzzi and Shakos will probably have to box again, perhaps for a set of soft tyres towards the end of the race, which could see them jump a few positions. Fuzzle and Jay-Z both will be going to the end on the hard tyres. They've beat up a huge amount of places there. So does Giannuzzi. Drac on the mediums will probably have to stop again. Nobody else will be stopping again apart from Sus Among Us, who has also gone to the mediums. Unless Sus can make it last 20 laps on... unless he can make those mediums last about 15 laps. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a big tyre-saving effort for Sus Among Us, so he might jump a few people early on with the benefit of those medium tyres compared to the hards. So then, Voting Web. Well, I would say Voting Web's the net race leader. It's Jack Imac, as he'll be going to the end. The Voting Web is the highest placed fresh tyre runner. We'll have to see what sort of speed these guys have. AR and Andy have been battling it out. I think AR is going to be under huge pressure from Andy, who has got significantly more pace than the Alpha Tower. It's 2 Alphas fighting each other. As the safety car looks like it's porpoising. That's interesting. So Mercedes clearly not solving all their porpoising issues. Instead of their Formula 1 car, it's their safety car which has relatively little downforce, so I'm not exactly too sure how it's porpoising. It certainly looks to be doing that. It's not anymore. They've solved those issues at mid-stint. Wow, Jack Imac has made a nice little comeback here. And I think actually a couple of those laps on Jack's tyres will also be under safety car. So you do have to remember. So those tyres will not quite be 5 lap old race tyres. They'll be probably 3 lap old race tyres. And a couple of trundle laps along. So safety car should be in at the end of this lap then. It's our second safety car of the session. Fresh causing our first one. D10 our second. Everyone is just so close and bunched up together that there's there's pretty much everyone's battling. It's very hard to capture all the battles at once. As usually at this stage of the race, everyone's spaced out and having their own little fights. But now it's all kicking off. 3 DNFs so far in this race. Not the greatest of starts then. So yeah, D10's game really did not do him any favours, to be honest. So he'll be back next week, hopefully with some better internet connection, to avenge this unfortunate DNF this week then. So safety car will be in this lap, I hope, and Jack Imac will lead the field away. Safety car not coming in. Indeed it is in this lap then. So Jack on the hards will lead away, Pyro on the mediums. Pyro could make a good old charge here at Jack Imac, as he is on the better tyre at the moment. We'll have to see how long that lasts for then. Everybody ducking and weaving, desperate to get some temperature, some mechanical grip on their tyres as Jack Imac has gone. Now he's going to try and make that run at the shortest he possibly can to avoid slipstreaming from Pyro. I think he's got a pretty good run. Although, looks like Shackles could be under a little pressure coming into turn 1. There is a good old battle here with Drac and Voting to the inside. Oh no! That's Aeon pinched on the outside. He's going to have lost a couple of places. Drax gained a place on him then as they still battle into turn 2. Aeon still on the outside as they all power through along this second straight here. Plenty of slipstreaming in effect. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be going for an overtake apart from Petaflat. He's going to go try past 3 drivers. He's gone past 2 or 3 drivers. He gets a big slide coming out of the power. That's a fantastic move from Petaflat, getting through so many. It almost looked like Andy was going to go into the wall. A bit of lag promoting that close to being an incident there, as they're still all battling it through the next sequence of corners. Looks like Aeon has just got ahead of Drac. Superior traction despite being on the harder tyre. Jack has already pulled outside of that DRS cap and ahead of Pyro then. Pyro also ahead of Giannuzzi then, who could have come into the clutches of Shakos and Fuzzle, actually ahead of Voting Web and already gapping Voting by a second. So Fuzzle getting a good old safety car restart, and Voting Web still with plenty of work to do then to get ahead. Oh no, incident! Jay-Z and Aeon come together. Oh no, it's all Petaflat also coming together with, it looks like a Williams of Stefan. It's again all kicking off in the background. Jay-Z desperately trying to get his McLaren reversed and turned around. Not exactly sure, but turn 15 is not the spot where you overtake at. And that has been shown by this incident. 3 drivers into the wall. That's Stefan tapping the wall again. I think he's got far reduced downforce on with that damaged front wing then. I think that's Andy battling away with Sneaky Lagger then. They're not going to quite get any moves done. And Andy slots in behind the Sneaky Laggers. Oh, there's a bit of contact further back with Sus Among Us and Mike. VK21. Mike getting very close to the wall. Sus Among Us now on the inside and powers his way down that straight. Can Mike get the slipstream effect right and get ahead of the Alpine driver who is on the medium tyres? He's not going to quite be alongside him. Ayamo could be trying to go down the inside of Zaki's Beast. He doesn't quite have the space to do so. Drax round into the wall. It looks like Sneaky, was that contact between the 2 teammates? There's no front wing for Sneaky. I think Sneaky's gone into the back of Drac. All chaos, all carnage going around here. Oh no, Sneaky, yeah, they definitely, the 2 teammates, the 2 Hasses have come together. And wow, that's a big incident. Even more incidents on the track. Then Jack is just peacefully out front, minding his own business, leading. Pyro is actually under a little pressure from Giannuzzi here. He's only about half a second behind him. It's all really kicking off here. Everyone's pretty close. There's going to be a bit of a DRS train behind Pyro, unless Giannuzzi has anything to say about it. Can the Welsh Warrior make it through and ahead into P2? They're all so fast. This perception of the speed is so incredible coming through that final corner. It looks like Voting Web has got a nice run on Fuzzle then as DRS is enabled. Look at Voting Web on the inside of the Red Bull. An easy move for yesterday's P2 finisher. And he makes it through up into P5 and can now start to attack for the leading positions in the race. Look how close they are. They are diffuser and front wing apart. Pieces of paper you could fit in between there, as now Giannuzzi has some DRS on Pyro. Voting Web looks to try and make a move on Shakos. Nobody is quite close enough to do so, as the game is sort of freezing and glitching all over the place, and we don't quite see, as they are disconnected from the session then. From P12 he's disconnected. Sneaky and Drac into the pits then. Wow, everybody was super close together on track still. Plenty of battles as we are having more glitching and freezing as Mike disconnects from the session now as well. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1. Petaflat has retired from the session. He's gone down the escape road. And we've got another safety car. We've got a 3rd safety car. I'm not too sure what's happened, but Petaflat has gone down the escape road and retired. And we've got another safety car in this race. Jack Imac had about a 5-second lead. D10 leaving the session. Wow, it's all chaos here, and Jack has got to slow down to avoid getting a penalty, and he'll have to do another safety car restart. Wow, it's the chaos is certainly there this race. I'm not really sure what's going on. Mike reconnecting. I'm not sure. Jack's into the pit. He's going to slap on a set of medium tyres and go to the end of the race. Pyro also into the pits. Let's see who's going to risk it and stay out. Of course, Voting Web will have to on those hard tyres. Fuzzle also going to stay out. El Plan also going to stay out. Andy stays out as well. So too does Sus Among Us. So Jack Imac has got, and Mike and Zach is Beast also staying out. Ooh, it's a lot of work for Jack Imac to do. But if anyone can do it, it's him. P8 is what Jack Imac has managed to achieve. Ayan reconnecting to the session as well. A couple of disconnects. Jack Imac is certainly rapid. Now on the fresh mediums, he is in the best position to win this race. Those mediums will probably going to have a couple of laps under safety car as well. So by the time he's going to be about 10 laps on those medium tyres, he should have the speed to win. Fuzzle's going to have a tough time keeping those mediums for 20 laps. And whole plans somehow up into the podium positions. So the positions have all flipped around yet again from the start of the race. Voting Web is up 3 places. Fuzzle up 11. Up 5 for El Plan and Andy. Sus Among Us is up 13 places. Good old race from Sus Among Us so far. Mike's up 1, Zach up 9. Jack down 7, but he just pitted. Ayan down 3. He has stayed out and has finally regained control of his car after he had a disconnect from the session. Pyro's up 2 and Giannuzzi up 9. Shackles has moved down 7. Sneaky, after a collision with his teammate, has moved down 10 places as well. Jay-Z up 5 places. Stefan and Drac down 4 and 2 places respectively. Fuzzle has managed to pick the strategy that gets him track position, staying out on those hard compound tyres. That is why he is currently up in P2. He's going to have a big old effort if he wants to keep this position to the end of the race, when he's got double the tyre age of some of the cars around him. So he's got work to do, but he can do it. He can possibly hold on the podium position, especially with all the chaos that is happening at the moment on our third safety car. We might run out of safety cars like we did in Tier 2 last night. That we had an excuse, we were at Vegas. Oh, Ayan, he's pitting as well. Unfortunately, he just joined a bit too late to make the most of that pit stop and will be starting from the back and having to work his way through. Sneaky onto the hard compound tyres. Interesting choice of tyre. Ayan, he's onto mediums, a much better tyre choice. Although, why is it saying he's on 8 lap old mediums? Did he not put on fresh mediums? That's odd. It's saying Sneaky's on 5 lap old hards as well. Yeah, I hope that's a game glitch, because you can't put the same tyres on that you just took off. What tyres that you might have taken off earlier, they aren't struggling for temperature as he's sliding all over the shop. I'm sure that would have been a real hand on heart moment for him, as Voting Web will lead yet another safety car restart. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's put those two on older tyres. I'm sure Ayan will let us know. Yeah, I'm hoping that's a glitch. I really do hope that's a glitch. As Ayan really struggling for grip. He's really struggling. Mike disconnecting from the session yet again, as he is up in P6. He'll have to rejoin. He's not having the greatest of time with the internet. Safety cars in this lap. I'm just trying to really see. Those tyres don't look new. I'm sure Aaron will definitely let us know what happened there after the session. But yeah, Voting Web will lead them away as everyone's back to ducking and weaving, trying to get that surface temperature on their tyres. They'd have built up as much carcass temperature as possible. Now it's all down to the ducking and weaving to build up the surface temperature as much as possible then, as Voting Web will go so he has the shortest straight possible, and people could not get as good of a slipstream if he started now. They'd have less space to slipstream as he bolts. Now he leaves Fuzzle in the dust a little bit, and Fuzzle's under a little bit of pressure from our plan behind though, as it looks like Mike VK21's AI is falling back as down the inside goes El Plan. Fuzzle tries to fight that one round the outside. He is able to stay later on the brakes than El Plan, but now they're going to be back down the inside. Is El Plan? He gets all shaky and squirrely with a bit of contact, and they're still going to be wheel to wheel as Jack IMAX picked up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. That will probably be removed at the end of the session. That's most unfortunate for him as Jack is fighting his way through and ahead of Sus Among Us and almost coming together with Andy, getting really close to the Alfa Romeo driver. Sus Among Us is always looking like he's trying to fight back. El Plan has finally got back ahead of Fuzzle then, as Andy is really having to try and keep the fresh medium runner of Jack Imac behind then. There's a lot of effort to put such a good driver with such a better tyre advantage behind, but Jack has got to be sensible and play his cards right. He cannot afford damage in this session, and at the moment then towards the back it looks like everyone was fairly well behaved. It has now put Aeon on those fresh tyres. Still says Sneaky is on those older tyres. It must just be a glitch then. But we're still going to stay with this fight. Oh, look at Jack Imac has to pull out to the inside of Andy and is down the inside into turn 15, but makes contact with the barriers. Jack Imac makes contact with the barriers, but I'm sure that's probably going to not have given him any damage whatsoever, though. And look at how slow Fuzzle live off the corner. I think he's had a really bad exit there, and he's now going to be under pressure from the Alfa Romeo of Andy behind. Andy basically pushing the Red Bull through the corner. Fuzzle really struggling on these old hard compound tyres as Andy pulls to the right hand side of him already, coming down the long back straight. Jack Imac is not getting much of a slipstream and is under pressure from a few of these drivers here. Andy to the inside. He's not going to quite get ahead of Jack Imac though. No, he is ahead of Jack. Andy is ahead of Jack Imac. The camera angle cut out at the wrong time. Jack now battling with Fuzzle. Almost looks like he ended up in the wall yet again was Jack, but he now is ahead of Fuzzle, who's fallen further and further back in this race. Mike unable to join back. Sus Among Us is now ahead of Fuzzle as well as he's down the inside. Look at Shakos on Giannuzzi now. Shakos and Giannuzzi going wheel to wheel, coming into turn 4. I think Shakos has just done enough to stay ahead before they head into the start of Sector 2. All manner of battles and drama here as Jack Imac now has to repass Andy, but luckily DRS will be active towards the end of this lap there, as it looks like Giannuzzi's been forced to the outside and Pyro has got ahead of him. I think he had a very poor exit coming out of the corner, perhaps got a little bit too power hungry, and that caused him to drop a place. Both McLaren still in the points at the moment and on fresh tyres, so in the best position to remain in the points as it stands. As we got a yellow flag and Mike has retired, and that's another safety car. We have another safety car then. Now, what do the top 3 do? Fuzzle will definitely pit. Will Andy, El Plan and Voting Web pull into the pits or stay out then? Mike is out, but I'm not sure where or why we got a safety car for that. Voting Web, it's a risk. It's a risk to pit, as the tyres won't be that much fresher. And he's got nothing to lose by staying out, although he is going to go into the pits. So too is El Plan. Andy staying out then. Jack into the pits as well, interestingly enough. If I was Jack, I wouldn't have gone into the pits, because he's going to have to serve that 5-second penalty. Although Jack is probably going to bolt on. Yeah, that's a real shame for Jack Imac. He's going to bolt on a set of softs. But I think he should have stayed out on those mediums, personally. I think that could be a strategy blunder for Jack Imac, as he's having to wait for other cars And it's a real slow pit stop. Oh, Jack's pit to change his front wing. Oh, and Ayan's out. Did he retire in the pit lane? Stefan also retiring in the pit lane as well then. Oh, Ayan retired on the straight. Perhaps he had the disconnect and DNF glitch. I'm not really sure what's happening. We've just lost another 3 drivers. Yeah, wow. Seven retirements in this race so far. It's getting chaotic here. And now everybody pretty much on the softs, apart from Andy, Sus among us, Shakos, Pyro, and Jay-Z, they could be under huge pressure. Voting Web, close friends with Jay-Z here. And this could get personal when they start fighting it out on the track. It's going to be really close. Andy, I don't think, made the right choice staying out. Sus also probably should have pitted. But Jack Imac should have stayed out. Oh no, he changed his front wing, so no, it was fair enough for Jack Imac to pit. So we'll excuse that from Jack Imac. He ended up in the wall a couple of times. Fuzzle pitted and came out in P8 on softs. So it's going to be pretty exciting what happens then for the next few laps. So do stick around to see who conquers all and who can take the victory here in XLR Season 3 Round 1. It honestly could be just anyone at this point. Anything's possible. We've had 7 people retiring in this race so far, 4 safety cars. I really do wish that the real life race was so Ayan had a glitch coming through the glitch rule in the final corner. Perhaps that's what happened to D10, who also had that crash in that last straight. Yeah, it's really hotting up here. Entertainment, chaos, and broken vocal cords, I think, is the story of this race. We'll have to wait and see who takes a checkered flag in 7 laps' time. A safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. And it's anyone's guess who's going to win. Will the softs last out? Or will the mediums prevail? Or could Andy turn on the afterburners and absolutely blitz the field on 10-lap-old hards? Unlikely, but still definitely possible here. And if you are just joining us, do stick around. This is looking like it's going to be an exciting finish. Mediums definitely seem to be, I think, the better option because of track position. Shakos is definitely in a really good position, so too is Pyro. But we could see voting is currently in the... Oh no, Pyro's picked up a penalty for collision with Shakos under safety car. That might be removed because that's safety car stuff and isn't really penalty worthy then. But we wait to see when Andy goes as the safety car peels off. Everyone's going to start warming those tyres up yet again. They're going to be ducking and weaving, making sure they get the maximum temperature. Well, not the maximum temperature, but the optimal temperature possible to get a fantastic launch. They've got to chase after Andy, who will be looking to take the shortest run into turn 1. As there we go, everyone making sure they've got temperature. Those softs are going to be easier to warm up than the hards and the mediums in front. Do expect Voting Web and Co to take an absolute storming amount of speed coming through into turn 1 as now Andy bolts. He's away then. Sus Among Us trailing him, gets a nice little slipstream, but look at how much closer Pyro is to Shakos then. This is for position. Pyro late on the brake split. Shakos just braced that edge later and is ahead. A nice clean move. Jay-Z has fallen back behind Voting Web. Fuzzle. Everyone's fighting for position going into turn 2. It's all chaos. Who is going to get the better line? Who is not going to get pinched on the outside and lose a lot of positions under traction? El Plan trying to make a move on Fuzzle at the moment. And then the Red Bull driver sort of now is going to be the one pinned to the outside as a couple of drivers go down his inside. Giannuzzi on the inside of Fuzzle is the closest now. I think Giannuzzi perhaps got held up a little bit by El Plan. Coming through as there's bouncing all over the curves was Fuzzle there, and now Giannuzzi is now on the outside. Jack Klimek trying to make his way through the chaos, and Voting Web is the soft tyre runner that has got through the first of the mediums. Giannuzzi and Fuzzle still fighting their way through, and look at Jack Klimek on the inside of both of them. Jack unfortunately not close enough to get a move done as Giannuzzi and Fuzzle going wheel to wheel, and now as they head up into the castle section, one of them has to yield, and it is Giannuzzi who decides that he's going to back off and will have another crack at it. Voting Web is now ahead of Shakos and will now be just trailing his teammate in his effort to try and take the victory away. Voting looks like he's in the best position at the moment to take the win. Voting Web for Mercedes could take a victory here. He's got to keep it in a straight line and has to make moves on every other driver in front of him. Of course he has to win. Jay-Z under a big bit of pressure from El Plan behind the soft tyre runner, yesterday's winner. What can he do through his, looks like Jay-Z's used his deploy defending against these incredibly fast soft tyre runners. They're basically pushing each other through. El Plan to the inside of Jay-Z. Jay-Z could be under a bit of pressure. Look at Fuzzle streaming through on the outside. Oh no! Contact between Jay-Z and El Plan. How was that not a cataclysmic accident? Jay-Z and El Plan squeezing each other and having huge contact damage to both of them, particularly El Plan. That's pretty much his race over. He's now going wheel to wheel with his teammate. A bit of contact between the two McLarens then. And look at Sneaky Lagger trying to make it through on the inside, practically pushed into the wall by Jay-Z and Giannuzzi. Storm around the outside of the pair of them. Giannuzzi up in, that's Jay-Z that's managed to get up into P8. Sorry about that. Sneaky Lagger now trying to go down the inside of Jay-Z. He's got ahead of Giannuzzi. And they're all filing their way through. Jack Klimek has made it through in all of that chaos and is up into P7. And it now just has Fuzzle, who's attacking Shakos behind. Voting Web just 3/10 behind Sus Among Us. There is all manner of chaos and fighting. What a fantastic camera angle we've got to see the two Mercedes. I think Pyro must have let Voting Web through at some point, but look at how close Voting Web is. Oh no, who's round? That's Jay-Z round. Jay-Z's round. I think he's lost a bit of front wing there. Perhaps he was pushed into a spin by all the battering that's going on behind. It's all really kicking off, and look at Sneaky going wheel to wheel into turn 15, the treacherous corner with Drac. He pulls to the inside instantly into turn 16. They're both trying to get a fantastic run, and look at Sneaky's been pinched on the inside a little bit, gets a little squirrely on the exit. They're going to power through down that main straight. It could be anyone's game to see who's got the better exit. Shackles has just been passed by Fuzzle. We're going to remain as DRS is now enabled with just 4 laps to go in this race. And Jack Klimek, fastest lap of the race. He's trying to make a move on Fuzzle at the moment. Fuzzle goes deep though. Jack looks like he's got a better exit coming into turn 2 as we just jump off that battle. Jack Klimek down the inside of the Red Bull driver. They look like they're close to contact. Jack gets that move done. Has he got the superior traction? Coming out onto the long straight. Fuzzle slots back into the slipstream and pulls to the outside. Jack defending the inside life with his life. He looks like he's secured that move. And he has indeed. Fuzzle unable to respond. Jack now on the back of Pyro as Voting Web is now just half a second back on Andy, who is going to be trying to hold his position for dear life on those old hard compound tyres compared to the fresh softs that Voting Web has. It could still be anyone's race. Jack Klimek could still win. It depends all that happens in these final few laps. Jack Klimek is now going to probably be inside the DRS of Pyro by the time we get round to that main straight. Andy has got virtually no grip on those tyres. Voting Web has the grip of the world. All the grip he wants, all the grip he needs to make this overtake possible then as they head through turn 15 into turn 16 before they head round and exit onto the long back straight with a couple of kinks in between. Voting has to be careful that he doesn't accidentally run into the back of Andy, who used a bit of his deploy to get him the best exit he possibly can. But now they're going to both dump their batteries. In fact, they're not. They're both going to retain their batteries. Andy is instantly going to go to the inside and force Voting Web round, as Voting Web with DRS now takes the lead of the race and is into P1. Sus Among Us has got DRS. Jack Imac and Pyro are battling it away. Pyro on the inside of Jack. Pyro defends his position, forcing Jack as wide as he possibly can. And this could allow Jack into the clutches. Pyro trying to get Jack into a narrow line into turn 2. But Jack Imac having absolutely none of it. That's cost Pyro quite a bit actually, as now Fuzzle is ahead of him and now could have a much better exit. And a good run on Jack Imac. Fuzzle pulls to the inside of the Aston Martin driver. Fuzzle to the inside. Jack Imac's going to try and hang it around the outside. Looks like a bit of contact between the two. Tyres spinning. And rear end sliding all over the place as Jack Imac's up into P4 and now has to try and chase down Sus Among Us for the podium positions, as Andy is outside of the DRS of Voting Web. And Andy still is going to try and hold on to this podium position. He could be under a lot of pressure from Sus Among Us behind him, as everyone's gaps have pretty much neutralised. The two Hasses still fighting together after their collision. There will be stern words from the boss about what happened there, as Zaki's Beast also gaining a lot of time on Giannuzzi inside that DRS range at the moment. Then as we get ready to head on to, we're close to heading onto the main straight for the top drivers. Can Sus Among Us challenge Andy, who has already been gapped 2 seconds by Voting Web and his incredible speed on those soft tyres? So then Andy versus Sus Among Us for the final, for the 2 podium positions after the leader, of course. Then let's see if Andy and Sus Among Us can make a battle out of this. Sus is about 7.5 tenths back then. It might be a bit too far back as Voting sets the fastest lap of the race. We do have to watch out for Jack Imac coming through as well to try and take a podium after his race has been turned upside down and flipped back over. It's been flipped on its head multiple times for Jack Imac this race, and if he could secure a podium, that would be absolutely fantastic for him. But Andy and Sus still fighting away. In the background though, the two Hasses have switched positions. Sneaky Lagger now ahead, as there's a little bit of a battle here forming for that final points paying position, as Giannuzzi has got DRS. And look at Zaki's Beast on the back of Giannuzzi trying to make a move, although he's not quite close enough, and now has Sneaky Lagger for company in that position at the moment. Jack Imac is making good gains. I'm not too sure if it's going to... He's getting about a second since the last time we looked at that gap. So he should, in theory, hopefully be able to make it up into the podium places, as Sus isn't quite able to get close enough to Andy. McLaren and Ferrari battling it away like it's the early 90s. Or like it's the mid-2000s, 2007, 2008. They're back at it again with the Papayas and the Reds. Who will take victory this time out? Or who will take the position this time out? Shakos on those older medium tyres under huge pressure from the guys on those fresh soft tyres. Shakos has actually dropped out of the DRS, and Giannuzzi is now very close. We've got a yellow in sector 2. That's Drac. Drac has spun it down at turn 15, but we turn. Look at how close Sus Among Us has got to Andy this time around, and Jack Imac lurking in the background as well. Sus Among Us with the DRS. He's got the run on Andy, pulls to the inside under DRS, makes that move work very nicely. We switch back to the Italian versus Britain. Giannuzzi on the outside then ahead. A look at Zaki's Beast also down the inside of Shakos as well. Shakos losing 2 places in one straight down to P9, and now is under huge pressure from the Sneaky Lagger, who will be looking to make up a place and go move up into P9 and get an extra point for the Haas outfit when it comes down to the Constructors' Championship. Both customer team versus factory team, both with DRS. Down the inside for Sneaky Lagger, he's gone deep. Sneaky's gone very deep and into the escape road. He might always desperate to try and get out. He's struggling to find the gears. I think he's got out ahead of El Plan. El Plan driving with no front wing, so Sneaky will retain that P10, and pressure is pretty much lifted off Shakos' shoulders now, as he can have some space to breathe
when it comes down to it. And yes, now Andy is going to be under pressure from Jack Imac. Jack Imac could still claim P2 in this race and maximise his points heading into round 2. I think voting Jack Imac with having to change his front wing was really unfortunate, but he can still make the most of it here and be on to the podium then, as Jack Imac prepares to attack the Alfa Romeo. Behind him as Andy's gone wide, struggling for grip. The Alfa Romeo has gone wide yet again, and now Jack Imac is going to have the run. Jack Imac through the final corner. I think that's a Haas round again. I think that's drag round again. But now, look at the run Jack Imac has got on the Alfa Romeo. DRS not even needed as he deploys his DRS just a tad later than Andy was able to. And Jack Imac soars up into the podium positions ahead of the Alfa Romeo. And now he hunts down the Alpine car, ready to gain yet another position on the final lap of the race then. It's going to be a battle to the line pretty much, although Sus Among Us has got enough overtake to probably hold that position from Jack Imac. We'll have to wait and see. Sus on 17 lap old mediums has done an absolutely cracking job. He's going to wait to use all of his DRS towards the end. As in the midfield, there's a bit of a battle for P6 then between Zacky's Beast. Oh, he's tagged by Pyro. A bit of a half spin. Pyro is forced to the outside to avoid him, and now Shakos trying to run wheels. Shakos contact with Zacky's Beast as well. Giannuzzi soared through up into that P6 position, but now Pyro and Shakos and Zacky's Beast fighting all around. Oh no! Round is Shakos and Zacky's Beast. Pyro goes through both of their ghosts. 2 spins in one corner. And it's still chaos. Sneaky takes his first penalty for corner cutting then. As it's still all kicking off, all chaos still happening. Shakos drops out of the points then. Zacky's Beast drops down to P9. And Giannuzzi looks like he could finish P6 in this race here. Drag now gets ahead of Shakos as well. We struggle to retain his position then as Voting Web heads through the final 2 corners now. Voting has held up under pressure. The race has flipped from heads to tails, but in the end Voting Web wins the first round of the season and takes victory here in Azerbaijan. Sus Among Us is just pipping Jack Imac to the P2 on that step of the podium. And Andy finishes P4. Great race from Sus Among Us from the back of the grid then. Fuzzle finishing at a fantastic P5. Giannuzzi from the very back of the grid. P6. A brilliant race from the McLaren driver. Pyro and Sneaky finishing P7. And I think and P8 respectively. Sneaky slamming into the wall. Showing his frustrations. He loses some places because of cutting the track to avoid incidents that could be removed after the session is over. And then rounding out our finishers, Drac, Jay-Z and Shakos. Wow. What total chaos and carnage we experienced there in Baku. Unfortunately, there won't be a chance to do any post-race interviews because I'm on PlayStation and Discord does not stream on Twitch, unfortunately. But wow. What a race. I think my vocal cords will need a little rest after that. Total chaos, carnage, and excitement though. And in the end, Voting Web is the victor from Sus Among Us and Jack Imac. Driver of the day. Oh, it's a tough one. I'm going to give it to Sus Among Us. He held out fantastically on those old tyres. Tyres which really should have been doing worse than Andy's at that stage of the race, and was able to hold off Jack Imac for a little bit and came from the back of the grid, kept his nose clean, and through all the chaos finished P2. So he is my driver of the day then. Wow, a fantastic round 1 and certainly a lot to unpack for the stewards. So we could see a completely different running order when we rejoin back on Sunday for round 2 of XLR Season 3. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for watching the stream today. It was complete chaos. I do really hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. First race back as a main commentator, and Shakos saying his pedals didn't work. Oh no. It's still going to kick off in the steering room after this. But first race back after a little break for me. And I do hope everybody had a great experience watching the race. Actually, I think we could do interviews if we switch to game chat. We might be able to do some interviews. It might be a bit too late though. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there then. So thank you everybody for watching today, and I do hope to see you guys next week for another crazy round of XLR. Good night, everybody.